Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato, coming to you from the beautiful Agnes Varis NJTV studio in Newark, New Jersey. We're pleased to welcome Alfred Doblin, who is the editorial page editor at The Record, and also Max Pizarro, editor of InsiderNJ.com, two of the most astute observers of politics and government in the state of New Jersey. We're doing this at around the Thanksgiving period. Let's take a few weeks back. Alfred, the biggest reason that Phil Murphy will be our next governor is?
He's not Chris Christie.
Oh, come on. Give me more analysis than that.
Well, I think people were ready for a change. Regardless of whether it was Christie, there's a secular change that happens 8 years of a Republican.
No matter who the governor is.
No matter who the governor is, it's very hard for the same party to win after 8 years. But I think people wanted a fresh face, and I think not just that he was not Chris Christie, but he was not part of the Christie administration. So I think Kim Guadagno was not able to separate herself from Christie, and Murphy was promoting a very progressive agenda.
Jump in, Max.
Well, I completely agree with that. And I would also add that what the election revealed, Steve, was how Kim Guadagno's attempt to turn this into suburbs versus cities failed, ultimately, because she uncorked this Willie Horton-style ad.
You're talking about the ad where, in fact,
cities, right.
Ambassador Murphy at the time, Ambassador Murphy sat right here, NJTV studio. We asked him about immigration issues. He mentioned sanctuary state, New Jersey. That unleashed what?
Well, it unleashed a last-ditch effort by the Republican candidate to try to gin up suburban support behind her property tax message, and it didn't work. It didn't go anywhere. What happened was the trend lines of New Jersey's demographics proved to outdo and outrun that effort.
You know, and I think, you know, to sort of bounce off of that, also the authenticity factor didn't play.
I mean, who are you really?
Well, I mean, Guadagno has always been kind of a moderate kind of person.
And criticized Donald Trump early on in the campaign when he was running for president.
So the fact that she was then moving so far to the right, that most people, like insiders, view, okay, this is a badly run campaign because now they're trying some kind of Hail Mary pass, something to just sort of change the equation. But voters sense, I think, when someone is not true to at least their persona. That, I think, was the Christie advantage when he was at his top. Whether that was who he was or not, that is who people thought he was, and it was authentic. And I think Murphy was authentic through and through. Let's
talk about this because you are, both of you cover politics, write about politics, understand politics. But I said to you before that one of the differences with State of Affairs is we actually try to look at the policy side. On the issue of, let's just do this, the top issue you think Governor Murphy will face is?
I think he faces a $50 billion underfunded pension liability crisis.
For public employee pensions?
Yeah.
Why is it a crisis? He said we're going to fully fund it. He sat right here in the debates as well. You asked him in a debate as well. He said we're going to fully fund it. So what's the crisis?
Because it impacts our ability to have solvency as a state. And for us to undertake anything else, we need to resolve a fiscal catastrophe, which is what he faces once he gets to Trenton.
Do you agree with the word catastrophe, Alfred?
Well, a significant problem. I don't know if I use the word catastrophe, but pretty close. I mean, you know, the bond rating, the credit ratings the state has faced have generally been because of its inability to make the commitment that it said it could make. So he's got a real conundrum because he has been very pro-public employee unions. Yep. He's been very clear where he wants to be on funding those pensions, and that's fine as a candidate, but there's only so much money in the till. So I think how he does that is going to be challenging, and he's brought up some other progressive things like legalizing marijuana
also,
as a revenue.
Free public education for those who go to community colleges.
Right, but the marijuana is also a revenue creator for him.
Do you think that's a smart idea? Legalizing marijuana?
Personally, I think it's a politically poor choice in the beginning. If he puts
really?
I don't think there's a statewide consensus about legalizing recreational marijuana.
Not medicinal,
I mean, I
for medical reasons, that's different.
If he eliminated every barrier that the Christie administration has put towards medical marijuana and made the dispensaries work better, made more people have access to it, I think that would be a great beginning. But I think legalizing marijuana in the beginning is a bad use of political capital.
Max, how's it going to play politically?
Well, here's what I would say, Steve. Following on what Alfred said, I believe it's important that he got a 13 to 14 percentage point win. If he had limped in with just the support of the teachers union, for example, if the teachers were the only people
It was
on
a
the
lot
streets,
more than that.
right? He demonstrated a capacity to hit a wide range of support systems. So he can go in there and, to Alfred's point, make a convincing case to the teachers, perhaps, that, well, we're going to need some compromises
You're
here.
going back on the pension thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so I think that from a political standpoint, at least he has the advantage of not limping into office.
He has a mandate.
He does.
Real quick on legalizing marijuana. Politically, how does it play?
Well, he has the support of Nick Scutari, who's the Senate
Who's a senator, who's head of the Judiciary Committee,
right,
who's been supportive
got
of
the
this effort.
legislation in place. And he also has the victories in key districts where this issue came to a fore. So I think he has a lot of
But if you
support.
go back to your question, though, I mean, like, what do people care about?
Yeah, what do they care about?
I mean, I don't think if you went through the 21 counties of New Jersey and asked, medical marijuana, high. Recreational marijuana, I don't really
Where
think.
would property taxes be?
Property taxes would be high. I think education would be higher.
Define education, because do you mean quality of education? Do you mean fully funding? Or the public school formula?
Cost of education, so that the cost of education is very much attached to property taxes
Absolutely.
being too high. So the two are sort of inextricably linked, so you can't really pull them apart. That's the key thing. I mean, if you waste all your political capital on a thing that sounds great in a progressive agenda,
Talking about the marijuana
the
thing.
marijuana thing, and you don't pitch it, well, we're really not doing this for social justice. We're doing it because we need the so many hundred.
No, he
millions
said
of
right here it
dollars.
was both. Respectfully, Alfred, he said it was both reasons: economics and social justice.
Yeah, but then he said to us that it was more about social justice than economics. So that position shifted a little, at least in his conversations with the Record over the course of the campaign. I would focus on figuring out a way to fund the education.
The public school formula, which he
and
said he would fully fund.
You do that, and you figure out how not to increase property taxes, and you have a very good first year.
Let me ask you this, Max. If, in fact, Governor Murphy does, in fact, propose raising taxes on the wealthiest New Jerseyans to pay for a lot of this, not all of it, a lot of it, how do you think it plays?
Well, I think the election proved that he has some traction to
Well, he didn't
undertake
hide
that.
it.
He didn't hide it, and he won by 13 to 14 points. So it was the most significant attack line by his opponent. She said he's going to raise your taxes, and it's a slippery slope. He's going to raise taxes on millionaires, and then he's going to raise taxes on you. And he won, and he won convincingly. And he has the support of the Senate president on the millionaire's tax.
Steve Sweeney.
Yeah,
So you think there's a mandate in the legislature to do this?
I do. I think that Steve Sweeney's caucus grew by one, and their Democrats had a very, very good showing, and they ran on a millionaire's tax.
Running on a millionaire's tax is obviously there's so many other factors and variables to the election, but it didn't hurt them.
Well, it doesn't hurt very many people to begin with. So I think it's an easy lift. It's not a hard thing to convince people because there's a very small portion of people who are going to be affected by
But
it.
Alfred, respectfully, in the time we have left, what about, and I asked Ambassador Murphy, soon to be Governor Murphy, this, Governor-elect Murphy, what happens if some of those millionaires, a lot of those millionaires, say, wait a minute, I don't want to pay additional taxes. I'm going to establish my residency in Florida. Potential issue, Max?
It is. It's a potential issue, but Murphy will have to prove that he can run a government, and he'll have to show simultaneously cuts and to absorb something of Guadagno's message, you'll have to exercise cuts in waste, fraud, and abuse simultaneous.
Max Pizarro can be found on InsiderNJ.com, and Alfred Doblin, check him out. I learned something new from every time in the Record, and also online.
NorthJersey.com, and you can follow me on Twitter, Alfred P. Doblin.
Follow him on Twitter, how?
Insider NJ.
Love it. Max and Alfred, good stuff. This is State of Affairs. We will be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by RWJ Barnabas Health, the Terrell Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ, PSCNG, Rowan University, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, New Jersey Sharing Network, and by the New Jersey Office of the Insurance Fraud Prosecutor. Promotional support provided by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association. And by New Jersey Monthly, the magazine of the Garden State, available at newsstands.